I am Cleopatra. Call me queen, not the seductress. If I had not been queen of Egypt, I might have made a fine comedian. For fate, that ruthless screenwriter, filled every page of my life with scripts full of sorrows and absurdities. I lived 39 years, and the world knew me only as Cleopatra the Seductress. But if I were to tell my own story, I would start with the craziest thought lingering in my mind right before death. Do you truly believe I conquered Rome merely by my beauty? Let me guess how I appear in your modern imagination, an enchanting woman lingering by the Nile, soft ripples shimmering behind her, graceful robes clinging to her figure, eyes brimming with captivating charm. Elizabeth Taylor's stunning portrayal has long rooted this stereotype in people's minds. The world firmly believes that I, Cleopatra, relied solely on peerless beauty to bewitch Julius Caesar and Mark Antony alike. Now let me reveal a secret. The real so-called Egyptian seductress was far from breathtaking. Surprised? Historians have deduced from my ancient statues and coin portraits that I had an oval face, a prominent hooked nose, uneven teeth, and stood barely over 1.5 meters tall, plain enough to fade into any crowd in your era. Does this shatter your long-held belief that I won powerful men over by looks alone? Rest assured, the real story has only just begun. My greatest weapon was never my appearance, but the unyielding will and sharp intellect flowing in my bloodline, inherited straight from Alexander the Great. Though you insist on calling me a seductress, I must confess I had barely any Egyptian blood. I was a pure descendant of the Macedonian Greeks, heir to Ptolemy I, one of Alexander's most trusted generals. After the collapse of Alexander's empire, our bloodline settled in this golden land of sand, Egypt. In the chaotic Ptolemaic dynasty, royal intermarriage was deemed an unshakable imperial tradition. Growing up, my 2 elder sisters and 2 younger brothers turned the royal household into a constant powder keg of strife. In 51 BC, at 18, I ascended the throne alongside my 10-year-old brother, Ptolemy XIII. Do not be fooled by the title of co-ruler. No sane adult could ever govern a mighty kingdom side by side with a mere child. Court eunuchs and ministers all aligned themselves with my young brother, while my sisters schemed behind my back to seize my throne. 3 years later, they drove me from power, claiming a woman was unworthy to rule alone, and exiled me to Syria. I shed no tears then. Fluent in 9 languages, including native Egyptian, I had no time for grief. All I thought was, I will return, no matter what. Fortune soon arrived. Roman civil wars threw the empire's most influential figures onto my political chessboard. When Pompey fled to Egypt, my naive young brother beheaded him and sent his head to Caesar, foolishly hoping to curry favor. Little did he know Pompey was once Caesar's ally as well as rival, and Caesar had intended to spare him. This reckless murder enraged Caesar, whose troops swiftly seized Alexandria's harbors. I wasted no time sailing back to Alexandria, the city that had cast me out, and staged the most legendary entrance of my life. Without hesitation, I turned myself into a political bait. My servants wrapped me tightly inside a thick carpet and carried me into Caesar's residence as a precious tribute. When the carpet unfurled and I stepped out before him, the 50-year-old Roman conqueror was utterly stunned. He was amazed not by superficial beauty, but by my fearless courage and clear ambition. I sought his military power to reclaim my throne, and in return, I offered myself and Egypt's allegiance. It was a shrewd political deal I had calculated perfectly. In that instant, he fell deeply for me. You may wonder how this happened if I was not conventionally beautiful. Let me explain the true logic of attraction. Charm has never been limited to physical appearance. My most lethal allure lay in my voice and wisdom. My voice was soft and melodious, my words witty and profound, like the most graceful tune played on a lyre. Such wisdom easily conquered a battle-hardened Roman dictator. One never needs to be a perfect beauty to capture powerful hearts with eloquence and wisdom. Our alliance soon blossomed into love. A year later, I gave birth to our son Caesarion, whom I affectionately called Little Caesar. For a moment, I naively believed our love could bring Egypt decades of lasting peace. Yet reality was never a romantic fairy tale. After my brother Ptolemy XIII died amid turmoil, I was forced by royal custom to marry my 11-year-old younger brother Ptolemy XIV to satisfy the court's demand for a male co-pharaoh. It was nothing but a ridiculous royal farce, the bitter fate of being merely a tool for royal succession. Later, I followed Caesar to Rome. He held me in high regard and erected a golden statue of me inside the Temple of Venus, declaring to all Romans that I was no venomous temptress from the Nile, but a goddess worthy of reverence. I once truly believed such bliss would last forever. In 44 BC, cold daggers ended Caesar's life, slain by conspiring senators in Rome. My dreams crumbled into dust overnight. Stripped of my most powerful patron, I fled sorrowfully back to Egypt. Upon my return, I found court officials once again gathering around my useless nominal husband Ptolemy XIV, plotting to restore his authority. To secure the legitimate succession rights of my son Caesarion, I had no choice but to eliminate political obstacles without mercy. Do not label me a cruel enchantress. The resolute ruthlessness in me stems from the same heroic bloodline as Alexander the Great. In the cutthroat royal court, eliminating rivals was merely a necessary political move. Both of my scheming sisters met their ends after attempting usurpation and rebellion. Every royal woman craved the throne, yet few survived the struggle. I resolved to hold my own destiny firmly in my own hands. After Caesar's assassination, Rome split into two rival factions, seemingly united, yet harboring hidden conflicts, led by Caesar's adopted son Octavian and his loyal general, Mark Antony. I chose to place all my bets on Mark Antony. To meet him, I turned a plain political meeting into an unforgettable divine spectacle. I ordered craftsmen to build an extravagant grand barge inlaid with gold leaf and hung with royal purple sails sailing across the seas near Cyprus. Dressed in golden embroidered robes, I lay gracefully inside the soft curtained cabin, disguised as the goddess Venus, with young attendants fanning fragrant breeze beside me. When Mark Antony stood on the shore witnessing this breathtaking scene, he was instantly captivated and utterly spellbound. He abandoned his planned political marriage and followed me all the way back to Egypt without hesitation. The following 10 years brought me rare, peaceful happiness. Mark Antony was generous and affectionate. He showered me with endless affection and vast territories, including Tarsus, Cyprus, Crete, and many other Roman dominions, pushing Egypt's power to its zenith. I also bore him 3 children. Yet no fairy tale can last forever. In 31 BC, the decisive Battle of Actium broke out between Mark Antony and Octavian. At the critical moment of the fierce naval war, I fled the battlefield in panic, and Mark Antony abandoned his troops to follow me in retreat. Our army collapsed completely without leadership. We fled back to Alexandria, knowing all was lost. Misled by false news of my death, Mark Antony drew his sword and ended his own life in utter despair. Grief-stricken as I was, I still had to face Octavian for the final reckoning. I dressed in plain mourning linen and knelt humbly before him, yet he regarded me as nothing more than a war trophy, determined to parade me in chains through Rome to humiliate me publicly. I would never submit to such disgrace. Hidden inside a basket of figs sent by my loyal servants was a venomous asp. On my final day, I put on my grand golden pharaonic robes, sat solemnly on the royal throne, and let the poisonous serpent rest upon my chest, embracing peaceful death with calm dignity. With my passing, the 300-year-old Ptolemaic dynasty drew to an end forever. 39 years of life were filled with twists and turns beyond imagination. Once abandoned by the world, I regained power with a bold scheme, yet eventually lost everything in the end. Still, I never became anyone's prisoner. After my death, Octavian buried Mark Antony and me side by side, yet cruelly executed my son Caesarion. Romans slandered and smeared my name relentlessly, yet they chose to ignore the truth. It was I who prolonged the lifespan of declining Egypt for 22 years with all my wisdom and tactics. Without me, Egypt would have long been swallowed by Roman expansion in Caesar's era. Whether I was beautiful or not, no longer matters at all. The world remembers me only by my notorious reputation, yet few truly understand who I was. If you ever set foot in Egypt someday, gazing at the eternal waves of the Red Sea and the Nile, do not merely recall the seductive enchantress in legends. Remember Cleopatra VII, a queen who struggled fiercely for power until her final breath, a fallen monarch who fought relentlessly, yet failed to change her doomed fate. As the great philosopher Pascal once said, "Had my nose been slightly shorter, the entire course of human history might have been rewritten." You see, even the great philosopher Pascal thought the same way as I did.